Hello, and welcome to another episode of PodCAPS. I'm Nico, and I'm majoring in social work. I used to major in bilingual education. Joining me today is my fellow CAPS ambassadors. We'll be talking about pressure regarding our majors.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I used to be a marketing major. Now I'm a psychology major studying in clinical counseling. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hi, my name is Jaydelin, and I used to be a nursing major, and I switched over to psychology just a year ago. So I'm studying clinical psychology now.
Hi guys, so my name is Anakaren. I used to be a bilingual education major and then I switched to psychology. Um, and my focus is also on clinical health.
So, just to start us off today, how did you guys pick your first major?
Well, um, I'm from Grand Prairie, and one of the high schools that they have is a career school, and I'm from Dubisky. And my career path was technically um, media technology. And so I learned all about filming, audio, podcasting, actually. I did a lot of like graphics as well, Photoshop. And so from there, I kind of was just like, you know what? I'll do marketing as my major at the time, which I wasn't really as happy. It was kind of like my dream was to be in filmmaking, but I was like, that's like once in a lifetime. You get probably it's very hard to get in there, and it's a lot of waiting. Like you won't know when you're gonna get the job or what you will get as a job. So that was one thing I didn't like. I didn't want the unexpectancy. And yeah, that's my family was like, "Well, we'll get into marketing," and then so I was just like, you know what, I'll get into marketing, and that's how I got into marketing.
And for me, it was mostly I really wanted to do something with ultrasounds and pregnancy, which you really only need an associate's or a program degree just to finish that. You don't need to do a whole bachelor's degree. But the closest thing to that was a nursing degree, which and my family really wanted me to go to a 4-year institute. So my only option was a bachelor in nursing. Um, but yeah.
For me, long story short, I used to be a really shy girl in middle school, and one of my middle school professors, he really helped me with like my self development journey, and he just like gave me a lot of confidence and like helped me. He believed in me, right? So I always knew I wanted to be like him, especially with children, right? I knew I wanted to be there for their self development, but I didn't know how. So the closest thing I could think of was like being a teacher, and I was like, oh, I'm bilingual, might as well, right?
So, yeah, my story is very similar to yours in that I had a bunch of teachers throughout my life that I guess influenced me a lot and who really helped me. So I picked education because I was like, oh, I want to help other students. I want to help people. And also, I chose bilingual too because I'm bilingual and it pays more money. So, but it sounds like for you guys there was a lot of family pressures to like, yeah, pick a degree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love my family, but yes, it was much that I had a very hard time wanting to pick marketing. I wasn't as happy because I went to community college first, so I wasn't as happy when I went there. I was like, okay, see how it goes. Um, yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, same. Like I said, it was like the closest thing to doing sonography. So I just got stuck with it. And then while while doing that is when I realized that this isn't even something that I said I wanted to do. I never said I wanted to be a nurse. Kind of just got strung along with it because it was my only option if I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So that's kind of how I got into it, and eventually they realized that it was more that I was doing it for them, but not for myself.
Yeah, uh, my family didn't really care about my major because I had gone to I like a not a trade school, but I had gone to a school that focused a lot on education, so they already knew that's where I was heading. Uh, but yeah, the whole time they were like, "Why are you going into education? You're so smart. You could be going in to be like a doctor or a lawyer or something." And I was like, "But I want to help people."
I mean, for me, especially my mom, she always wanted for me and my sister to like get go to like a 4 year institution, right? I always knew I wanted to get my bachelor's, so that was not an issue. But when I said that I wanted to do education, same thing. My aunts, they were like, "Oh, why are you?" Because they are teachers, right? So both of them, they were like, "Oh, why do you want to be a teacher? Like, choose something better for yourself." I don't know what. So yeah, there was like pressure, especially from them, because like my family, they didn't really care. Like my mom and my dad, they didn't really care as long as I finished with something.
Yeah, a lot of teachers warn people before going into the degree because it is like a rough field to go into.
It's funny though, because for me personally, my parents would tell me the same thing. As long as you graduate with a bachelor's degree, we'll be happy. But it's also like, well, yeah, you can do that, but they would also tell me you can't major in this, you can't major in that, choose this major or that major. And then at the same time, they'd be like, well, as long as you graduate. So I'm like,
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went because they also looked at the money, like future wise, like, okay, is she gonna be okay if she does this? And because I was going into the filming route, I was like, no, I won't. It's gonna take me a long time to get into the passion that I want to do. And then I realized I made a movie, and then that was just like, you know what? I made a movie, and I was like, yeah, no, this is much a hobby for me. But I'm just gonna go for the marketing route, and I absolutely hated that too.
Yeah, no, with hobbies, I get that of having like stuff as a hobby that people like want you to like go into a career as. Like, I'm personally super into comics and stuff like that, but that's for the side. I don't want that to be my career. I love art, but it's like for me, it's too unstable when I want something more stable.
Exactly. It's more of like, okay, this is my time to relax. So when I make flyers, that's just me like using my creativity, and I'm just like, okay, I'm relaxing. This is my little hobby. I like this. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I have a love hate relationship with being like a first gen student because when my family and I moved to Texas, my parents didn't know anything, and like when it comes to like income and stuff like that, they didn't know anything because, of course, everything is different in Mexico. So I didn't have that pressure, but at the same time, I had to find the hard way on my own.
That's very how it becomes because as a first gen as well, they look at others and see how they're kind of succeeding, and they're like, okay, that's a good path for you.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, no, because I don't want to do that. I'm good.
yeah, and you have to find like a lot of resources, and like graduating from high school was really hard because you don't even know anything about college, and so it's all about asking like high school advisors, like, what do I do? What's this? And it was just really hard because I obviously nursing is a very well known career, but I hadn't even looked into psychology, and my school didn't even offer psychology, so I didn't even know. And it's just like a lot of things that whenever your parents don't know, you don't know. And it's really hard to, look at other areas, and there's so many, and then like as
They like narrow you down
hmm
to like a few options.
yeah, it's like the most popular like career options, and
Mhm.
they kind of think that this is just what's best for them.
Yeah. Or they'll relate to where they're at right now. Like my dad, he started from Best Buy and worked his way up. And he only like had his high school degree. And so he's like, I grind, I got this, I got that. I'm like, well, I don't want to work at Best Buy. Like, yes, I love your job. Yes, it's amazing. It's pretty cool. But yeah, no.
It's not for me.
No.
Yeah.
And the same thing for my mom. She's an accountant and she worked from the bottom, got her way up, went from Verizon to other stuff, learned how to go about it. And she's like, and see, I'm an accountant. I'm like, I hate math. Like, I can't do that.
Yes, no, I understand because in high school I was in the career path of education because I thought I wanted to be a teacher because my mom was a teacher assistant.
Mhm.
And so that's the only thing I knew. So I was like, well, I guess that's what it is. But because of that class, I learned about like pregnancy. So then I figured I wanted to do ultrasound. But my school didn't offer that at the moment. So it was just education, and I followed the education path until I worked with kids, and I realized that that was just not for me. Kids are just not for me. But it's a trial and error.
Like with what you said about the career paths in high schools, I found I was in the like education career path at my school, and but like, what I found with those schools is that it's very limiting. While they're great, especially for students who like already know what they want to do. I mean, I thought I already knew what I wanted to do by then, but it really limits your view of what else is out there, and it's kind of like I don't know, it traps you into a box. And then when I got to college and changed my pathway, like half, like I think my sophomore year, I was like shocked. I was like, oh my god! But I thought I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. I was like, do I change my major at this point? What do I do? Like, but I mean, what was that moment for you guys where you thought, okay, I need to change my major?
It was actually picking the next, I was in community college and I had to pick the next form of classes to take in spring. And one of the classes was accounting and another math class and another math class. And I was like, where's the marketing in here? Like, I'm like, I understand this is prerequisite, but still, I was not having it. Um, that first fall semester, I was taking a psych class, and I got an A in that class. Out of all the other classes, I got like a B, a low B, high B, but that one was straight up A, and I was so interested, was so in it. And so I think when I was trying to look for the next set of classes to take, I was like, ew.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do this. It took me a while to kind of realize it, and it wasn't until my mom, she was trying to help me with my schedule because I struggle with that part, especially with timing. She's like, "There's no way you're gonna run from that side to the other side of the school in in that small amount of time." You're like, "Oh my god, you're so right." But when she saw how many classes of math classes I was gonna take, and she's like, "You hate math." I'm like, "I know." She's like, "Are you sure you want to go into this field?" I'm like, "Am I allowed to change it?" Like, so I kind of just looked at her. I was like, "Can I? Like, is it allowed? Can I switch it up?" And she's like, "Yes, of course. I want you to be happy." And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh yeah." I think I broke down crying even more that day. And she's like, "What do you want to do? Where do you want to go?" And I was like, "I really like psychology." Like, it's always been in the back of my brain. And I said it even in high school that I'm like, man, psychology feels pretty interesting. I want to get into that. maybe I could do like a minor or something. And so then she's like, you know what? Book an appointment with your advisor the next day and see what you have to do, what do you have to take. I'm like, okay, okay. And then I kind of got set back like one semester, but it wasn't too bad. I was okay with that. And from there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be in psychology. So I was very excited.
For me, I felt like at a loss with nursing. You know, like I didn't even want to do it at that point. Like I just didn't. And the thing is that I knew that if I focused and I did the work, that I could do it and it wouldn't feel hard. But it just wasn't even something that I wanted to do. Like I don't know, it just felt like boring at that point. Like I'm not learning anything that I want to learn, and I'm just trying to see it through, and I'm just trying to get my grades up. It's just kind of like I didn't even have the energy or wanting to do it. So I just felt at a loss, and say kind of like same thing with Emily. Like I was getting better grades in my psychology classes because at that point I had picked up psychology as my minor, and I was getting better grades in there. And eventually I took abnormal psychology, and I absolutely loved it. Dropped nursing that very same day, and I never looked back after.
Um, oh, for me, I was in community college, and I think it was my second semester there. I took a lifespan, growth and development psychology course, because I mean, my classes were not that hard since I was taking like the core courses like math and history. But I took a psychology like that psychology course, and I remember like the first like 20 minutes that I sat there and I started listening to like the professor talking about like the development of like especially like children, right? How like the behavior and motivation and all that and how it changes over like our life. And I was just like I was like, wow, like I love this. Like I don't know what you can do with this information, but like with this, I don't know what you do with this, but I love it. Like I want to learn more, you know. And that's what I remember that same day. My mom was my ride. I did not have a car at the time, so my mom picked me up, and then I was like, Mom, like my class, and I don't know what. And then she was like, Yeah, like I can see you, like pursuing your degree in psychology. Like I wanted to do that when I was younger. So I think like part of me wants to finish this degree because of my mom. Because I know like both of us like we love psychology so much. But yeah, I was like, oh, like I don't know if I should change it. Like I don't know what should I do. I don't know. And again, like my mom had like very little knowledge of like what's the income and like what would like the routes. Like she didn't know anything, so I had to do all the research on my own. But she was really supportive when I brought it up.
Oh, that sounds really sweet. Oh God. For me, I was having a really rough time my second semester, my sophomore year, just because of a bunch of personal stuff going on. But at the same time, I had started thinking about my internships that I had in high school, where I was helping students. I was tutoring students in low income schools. One that was like really close to my high school, I would just walk over there and tutor them. And something that I had noticed was that these students were dealing with a lot more things outside of their lives, um, outside of school. And for me, it was like, well, how can I tutor these kids when they're like suffering at home or just going through like just going through stuff in general. And I started like I guess thinking more about, do I really, as an educator, would I be able to help these students the way that I want to? And I thought about my teachers in high school who were like went above and beyond to help their students, and I had to like talk to them. I actually talked to my teachers, and I realized these teachers like were way above and beyond than like typical educators. They were like spending money. They were like spending their own personal time to help these students, and they weren't receiving help from the schools to do this. This was just completely on them, and I had to think, am I able to do that? Am I able to survive like that too? And so I realized, okay, I don't think I could. Like these teachers were great, but I don't think I could be like that. So I decided, I think that so the way that I can help people is through social work. And yeah, for me, it was like, for my parents, it's basically the same thing. Anyways, I'm going into a helping profession with low income, quote unquote. So they don't care and they don't know the difference. But yeah, it's it was nice to finally actually realize what I wanted to do. But was there any change with like your like in your family or friend dynamics after you made this change in your major?
Yes and no. So for my family, this is like the first person. I'm like the first person who ever is gonna get into this field. So they're kind of just like, you do your own thing because I don't know what exactly you're doing, but we love you and we support you no matter what. But we just don't know what you're doing. Be gone. Like you got this. Like they just threw the little bird off the branch, let it fly, that type of thing. Um, as for friends, I feel like I did find more friends when because I was very quiet. I didn't know exactly what to do. I had my old high school friends that I was still trying to keep in contact, but I noticed that okay, we're fading away, obviously. So um, I had friends, and then it went up and down to see who would stay in my friend like circle. And I would say now that I'm at UTA, I found a lot more friends compared to community college. I mean, still my boyfriend, but he moved to UTA as well. So I say he's here. um, but yeah, I would say I found a lot more comfort. I felt more confident in myself. Um, I did have my like aha moment. I'm like, I'm right. I'm here.
I don't think there was a change for me personally with my friends. It was just more of a um I started focusing more on psychology and I started putting in more effort that I never did with nursing. So that means that in nursing, I would go out with my friends a lot more than I did now with my psychology pathway. So that's something that I noticed. I don't hang out with them as much. But then again, it's also kind of like a drift apart. You know, you're growing up, you're doing different things, and you're focused on your own thing, which is completely normal. And, they're still there and I'm still here. But with my parents, it was a little harder because she personally didn't want to tell her friends that I switched majors until like now that I'm close to graduating. So that was like a thing, which even with like one of her friends for last Christmas, she gave me like this gift regarding nursing. Oh, because she didn't know yet. And I feel really bad, but I mean, it's almost understandable, kind of like because I sometimes see my old nursing friends, and it's kind of like, like shocking, and they're like, "Oh, you're not in nursing anymore." It's kind of like when you switch majors, a lot of people see you as you weren't able to do that, like you weren't smart enough, or you didn't have the potential to do it, because they don't see the other side, and I mean, it's understandable why they think that. Um, so it was a little hard um, for my parents to come to the idea that I was a psych major. But then I also felt like I had the okay from them when my mom talked to me about what I wanted to do and how she found that it's very important to gain the education in that field. And for me, it was so refreshing hearing that. And I felt like, okay, I have her more on board now and she understands what I'm doing and she understands why I'm doing it. So after that, I think it's been a lot better, but it's because they grew to understand.
For me, my family is kind of like the same with Emily. Like, they just like you're the first in everything. So I'm like,
Yeah.
good luck. Like my parents especially my dad, he was the one who said like, please like talk to your professors, like please ask questions, please do your research before you take like the executive decision. But also, like you said with your mom, like with my mom, it was kind of similar because I was like in that like existential crisis of like, I don't know if like I love psychology, but I have no clue. Like all these like, because oh my god, I changed my mind like 6 times over the past like year, right? Of exactly, in psychology, there's so many things that you can do, so many routes. And at first, like I spoke to professors and I wanted to do speech pathology at first, and like the idea of it sounded like wow, amazing, but is that something that I want to do? Like I don't know, and I don't want to waste my time. So I was like in this existential crisis. And my mom, um she basically like understood me and she supported me. But yeah, and as a friends, I think so. I went to community college, and honestly, my friends were really diverse and like talking about like majors. So like I had like criminal justice friends and teachers and X, Y, and Z. But that's because we were all taking like the core courses. And now when I came to ETA, like most of my friends are in psychology majors, and I feel like same as you, Emily. Like I feel like more um, like safe and like I can be more myself because I'm around people that understand me and like know what I'm going through. Yes.
Mhm. Oh, that's great. I think for me, I noticed like with my friend groups, it didn't change anything really because all of them are STEM majors and I'm the only one in something different. So that stayed the same and they didn't care. They already knew what I'm like. So that, but what I did notice is that I made way more friends in social work than I made in education. I had like zero friends in education, but that's because I think what I've noticed in social work is that we're all very group centered and group focused, and we all sort of have like just like similar general beliefs about just wanting to help people, and that really helps cultivate that I guess community for us. And so for me, that was like great. And for like I guess regarding my family, uh, that didn't really change much either because for them it was the same. Uh, and again, I'm first generation, so my parents were just glad that I'm getting my bachelor's degree in the first place. And for them, it's like just go out there, do what you want. Don't change your major based on like what you think you should do. And I think I guess that's a key takeaway. Don't change your major based on what you think you should do. Change your major based on what you want to do. Because yeah,
Yeah.
like otherwise you really just like spend your time miserable in classes. But Jaydelin, you were saying something earlier about like feeling like you're failing out of like a major. Like again, I was struggling my second semester of my sophomore year, specifically with one course, but that was because of all the personal stuff that I had going on. And when I switched my major, I feel like I'm switching my major because I'm failing because I'm doing terrible right now. And it was like that was embarrassing. That was the embarrassing part of feeling like I don't want to fail out of this. Like why not just like chug through it? But I just it's not something you can do sometimes.
For me, when I came here, switching majors was such a big deal because I didn't know it was like a common thing to do. Like I didn't know many students change their major, so I'm like, oh my god, like am I able to switch my major? Like, is this even allowed? Like, and I remember, like you said, like I did not want to make that change, and not because I was like, oh, like I don't feel that I'm not capable of doing this, but just because it was so new to me, like I was like,
That's
yeah.
like a big thing where you're thinking, am I capable, or because you think that you're failing, you don't want to switch it because you have other people like expectations that they're watching, and you know you want to meet their expectations, but you're not meeting your expectations when this is happening. And like Nico was saying, am I switching out of this because I'm failing, or is like what's going on? But you also have to realize, am I failing because of other circumstances, or like what's the reason why I'm failing? Because a lot of it could be your mental health. A lot of it could be like you just don't have the motivation, and you don't have what you want to do based on what you're getting from this class. So I think that's another thing that I had to look at personally. I had to be like, why am I not doing like good in this course? And I know I could do it, but why am I not getting there? It's kind of like things that you have to see. But the thing is that even if you do, a lot of people don't see it. So then to them, you just failed.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a stigma on college campuses regarding like changing your major, but it's like a very internalized fear I think that like everyone has, because there's like, if you change your major, you're changing your career basically. And that's terrifying. Like for me, when I changed my major, that was terrifying because I thought that I wanted to do something for the rest of my life, and all of a sudden I didn't. So for me, like I was like having panic attacks about changing my major, but my friends were like, chill out. It's like not that serious, dude. Just get over it, change your major, and start your new major. You have all the same core classes anyways. It doesn't matter. So yeah, I think it's so common for college students to change their major, but there's just that fear that we all have regarding it. But how do you guys feel now after having changed your major?
I would do it 100 times. Yeah.
No, yeah, I feel a lot more confident in myself. Yes, it's a lot more secure. It's kind of like that you're following your dreams, even if it takes a really long time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how one of our professors, we invited her out to speak at one of our orgs, and she was explaining how it felt like the major chose me. And that's exactly how I felt when I got to UTA, because that's when you really get to start your major, when you're finished with like all your prereqs, is that you're like, oh my god, it chose me. Like I am the puzzle fit the piece, basically.
Yeah, that, oh my god, that's like the exact same thing that a social worker that I interviewed told me. I was interviewing her for a class, and she was like, social work chooses you, uh, and not the other way around or whatever. And it was like, that made me feel more comfortable with changing my major. It was like, okay, yeah, I'm doing the right thing because this is something that, like, I guess called me, and this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah, like what Jaydelin said earlier about like if this course is something that I like, why am I not studying this? And I think it was the same for me. Like um if I could take like all the courses, all the psychology courses, like
Again,
yes.
me too.
Like I just love like, and again, like some even like a few months ago, I didn't know still, like I would think my mind, but just the fact that I keep learning about all these like super interesting things, in my opinion, it's just like so fulfilling. Like I would do it again and again and again.
And like what I love about my major is that you can apply it to everything. Like you can, and I mean literally, like your friends. But it's just interesting because in a lot of your classes and your professors will tell you, it's the better way to learn this is to apply it to a real world example. In psychology, it is so easy to do that.
Oh yeah.
And it sticks so well. Like, you get to learn it, and it's just so well, and it comes a lot easier because it's something that is interesting to you, and it's something that you want to do. So I think that was my reassurance. Like, yeah, this is like I could, take a psychology class every day, and I'd love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's very much a need of having a support system there for you, to or like not even just like support system, but just reassurance in general that this is what you're meant to be doing. Uh, but have do you guys have any like I guess negative feelings after having changed your major, or like regret about having spent your time doing something else before choosing your new path?
I guess that I didn't choose it the first time because it was always there, but I was just like hesitant. I was like, well, I know this, so why am I trying to jump into
Yeah.
like a pool? But the pool was shallow. Like
Yeah.
I could have just went there the whole time.
Yeah, no, I definitely do feel like I should have realized that it's what I wanted to do a lot earlier. But it is because of nursing that I learned about what I want to do in psych. So it's kind of like everything happens for a reason. So in that way, I don't regret it because, maybe if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have known that I wanted to do psych till years later, you know? And but the reason that I do is because I feel like I'm not where I could be if I had switched into psych a lot earlier. I feel like I'm behind than like the average senior class is in psychology, and I feel like I'm just not where I could have been if I would have just gone straight into college with the psych in mind. But like you said, it's really important to have a really good support system. Um, so yeah.
I agree, like 100% agree. And it's like what you said, like the trial and error.
Yeah.
Like you have to, and I spoke to my mentor about this, and she said like it does not matter how much research you do, you're still gonna change your mind like 100 times, and you're still gonna make mistakes. Like even after you get your bachelor's, you're still gonna make mistakes, and um, and that's how you learn because we're all human, of course. But also, um, same like I feel that um, I like got pushed back, but because I was not able to have like enough time to do my research on like okay, because we know at UTA you don't have like a clinical um, master's program here, right? We have the UTA is more focused in eye psychology. Um, but if I sometimes I just like get so like oh if I knew like if I've known that I wanted to do like clinical and like I wanted to do psychology specifically on that, I would have gone to like another school,
Right.
like
Yes.
or maybe like go to like specific professors for my master's. Like I should have already been thinking of my master's
Yeah.
months ago, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that makes me like, ah,
Like the same thing with social work that um actually most social workers in like the DFW area graduate from UTA with their masters or bachelors in social work. And so for me it was convenient, but at the same time I had that same reaction. I was like, I should have been thinking about my masters like long ago. Yeah, like felt like I was like, I don't know, behind, I guess, but like, I'm not. And I mean, there's a lot. I guess I think there's a lot of pressures in both of our majors to get our masters. Yeah,
Yes. A
yes.
lot.
And that's something that I wish I knew before I switched my major. I mean, I would still do it, right? Even if I knew. But like I did not know you had to like reach at least for your master's to have
Oh yeah, that's the problem with like a lot of our majors is that it's good to have a bachelor's, but that's for a lot of what we want to do and a lot that involves social work and psychology. That's not your endpoint, and it can't be your endpoint. If you want to do what you want to do, you have to pursue grad school. So that's something else where whenever I realized like if I'm switching to psych, I'm gonna go for my PhD, like no matter what. But it was also like holy crap, I have to go for my PhD. And it's like realizing how long it takes and the ups and downhills about that. It kind of makes you almost uncertain, but then you start thinking like, okay, this is really what I want to do, so I'm gonna do it regardless. But it's something that if I would have known that I was gonna be a psych major since freshman year, I would have felt more prepared and like thinking about grad school rather than stressing about grad school a couple months before I graduate.
But to anyone listening, remember that it's always okay to change your major. It doesn't matter whether you're just starting your bachelor's or like already in grad school. There is a lot of resources out there for you, and it's okay to do things like taking your gap year and just taking different electives to test the waters before you fully dedicate yourself to a major.
I think just to add, I would say I remembered that one of our professors came to talk to us in one of our orgs, and he said that he used to work with nurses, right, for a long time, and he had good income and everything. And then 10 years after, he decided that he wanted to teach, and he completely changed like his career. He went to his PhD 10 years after, right? So this is just to say like
Even after you change, or even after you're like hesitant at making the decision and you go off and go get your bachelor's, you can always come back to school and get your bachelor's again into something else.
It's like what our professor always says, like grad school is not going anywhere. So
It's the same thing with your major. I have a friend he's here again and he's taking another bachelor's because he was like, yeah, I didn't like the other one, so I'm taking another one.
Impressive.
I know.
It's funny. I met someone my freshman year, and it was a student who only needed, I think it was one more semester in business, and he would have graduated. And that last semester, he was like, this isn't for me, and switched to nursing. So he was almost done, and then he switched.
And that's okay. That is okay. Because as long as he is happy. Because you don't want to be in something that you're going to just be stressed or not looking forward to every single day. You want to be in something that you want to get up to and be like, you know what? Let's do this.
even for classes, like you don't want to go to a class and be like, oh, I have to go.
Yeah.
Like no, for me, like the only reason why I love in-person classes is because I love stuff. Like I love to learn, right?
Always remember that it's always okay to change your major at any point in time. And if you need help, talk to your advisor. And if you need to talk about it with someone, just come to CAPS and talk to a counselor about it. Thank you for joining us today to listen to us talk about pressures with majors, and we will see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.